So continuing with Resident Evil, Brett. Resident Evil 4 remake.
Bad news on this
Yes.
front. Very bad news.
So Resident Evil 4 remake has reportedly seen a partial internal reboot after creative differences pushed Capcom to reassign the project to its mainline development team, potentially delaying the game to as late as 2023. Okay, so this all comes via Games Radar. So, Games Radar reports that according to a report from VGC, Video Game Chronicles, the team that handles core Resident Evil and Devil May Cry games, Capcom Division 1, has now been tapped to handle the bulk of Resident Evil 4 Remake. Prior reports indicated that M2, a relatively new studio led by former Platinum Games CEO Tetsuya Minami, was put in charge of the remake after its contributions to the Resident Evil 3 remake. However, sources say M2 has had its role in the game significantly reduced following its most recent project review because Capcom wants to make the remake in a different direction, okay, which they didn't meet. M2 was reportedly approaching the remake as a near shot-for-shot recreation with very little deviation from the original. However, Capcom is said to be pushing for a less restricted approach that gives the Resident Evil 4 remake room to incorporate new features and ideas not present in Resident Evil 4 itself.
I'm torn on this. I'm so torn. One part
Give
of
it
me
to me.
thinks that like it'd be so great to have this like reimagined Resident Evil 4. Because if you think about it, we've had the game not remastered per se, but the game has been ported to like Xbox 360, Xbox
You can play it
One.
on every fucking platform.
Dude, it's everywhere, right? And each one, the graphics are maybe not significantly increased, but the game will run better on like the Xbox
Mm-hmm.
One or whatever, right? So part of me is like, we've already experienced the game in the same way so many times that I want to see a little bit of change. I want to see them modernize it a little bit. I want to see them, take it to another level. But at the same time, I do understand that, with Resident Evil 3, when they remade that, they took a little bit too many liberties and a lot of fans didn't like it. And I don't think that's my problem with Resident Evil 3 or yours per se, but
Mm-hmm.
it might have lent itself to those problems that we had with the game.
Yeah.
So
My
yeah, I'm
problem with
torn.
I'm with you because my problem in thinking about, I mean, the most recent example of something like this that Capcom's trying to do is Resident Evil 3 Remake. My problem with Resident Evil 3 Remake is not that it deviated from the original because I didn't play the original, so I don't know.
Yes.
I don't have any
Yes.
context for it. My problem is that it felt very empty, very short. I do not like the super run and gun action pace of a Resident Evil game. I'm not saying that I don't think Resident Evil games can have that, but when the entire slice of the game is that's all you're doing, and that's where like you have puzzle solving that has elements with running gunning, like all of that. I don't that just didn't work for me. It
Hmm.
just didn't work for me. um, but also I know Resident Evil 4 is a little more actiony, right? But it's also one of the most open Resident Evil games, right? But it still has those hardcore survival horror elements to it. But the controls are outdated, right? You can't shoot and walk at the same time. Like you can't do it all. So I would like to see them update some of that stuff, but more so in the quality of life
Yeah.
improvements as far as
Yes.
the experience goes, rather than the actual elements as far as the storytelling goes.
Yes. And to be honest here, if the game's getting delayed for 2 more years at this point, I would have just rather have had whatever the fucking original team was working on and have it sooner. Because to me, I'm so torn. I'm like, if I have to wait 2 more years, fuck it. Just give me whatever version you were doing now, because I don't want to wait any longer. You and I had a great conversation the other day. We were talking about this when the news broke. I told you, dude, this is such awful news. Now we have to wait 2 more years for this game. Um,
Hmm.
it doesn't make any sense because now, you and I, we've been playing all the games in order, obviously,
Hmm.
and now we want to play four. That's the next one we have to play, so we can play five and six.
Hmm.
And now we have to wait 2 years to do that. No, we're not going to do that. So it's like making us want to play the original four that we have on PlayStation 4 and call it a day.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, at this point, I'm going to. Um, I'm gonna play. I mean, I can play it on my Xbox. I can play it on my PlayStation. I can play it on my Switch. I can play it on my fucking phone. I can play it on fucking Steam. I can play
Yes.
wherever the fuck I want to play it, and I'll play it. But I'm not gonna wait 2 years for the remake to play at this point. I'm gonna move on, and I'll play the remake when it comes out. And I'm sure it'll be great. But I am very torn. I think there's merits to both. I think a shot-for-shot remake would be great. I think a shot-for-shot remake would also really fucking annoy me, and I wouldn't want to play it, and I'd probably stop playing the game. If I
Yeah.
can't move and shoot, I don't want to fucking play that game. I'm sorry. I'm not a purist.
At this point, Josh, if I have to wait 2 years, there better be some fucking significant changes. You know what I mean? If
Right.
if it's gonna take 2 more years for this game to come out, there better be significant changes. Otherwise, this wait was not worth it.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you. But again, that conversation we had the other night, I'm like, I can already see my frustration with getting a shot-for-shot remake, and if I can't move and shoot, that is the hill I will die on, dude. If I can't move and shoot, I'm not fucking playing the game. I'm just not doing it.
You don't want to have to stand still and knife, dude.
I don't want to do that. I'll do it for the original game, right? Because I'm gonna have to at this point because I want to get through it. I'll experience it in its original state. If you're remaking a game and that's just a fucking terrible design point. Okay, I get maybe why they did it back in the day. Okay, but come on, man. If you're gonna remake that game, take that the fuck out. This game, it should feel honestly, it should feel exactly like Resident Evil 2. And if it doesn't feel exactly like Resident Evil 2, I don't want to play it. Because Resident Evil 3 didn't feel like Resident Evil 2, and Resident Evil 3 Remake sucked, in my opinion.
So here's my last thought, and then we can move on if you want.
Okay.
Resident Evil 4 is a classic game. It is
Yes.
a pioneer in the third-person action survival horror genre. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If we didn't have Resident Evil 4 the way it is now, there would have been no Evil Within 2, Shadows of the Damned. There's so many. It's slipping my mind, but like that whole third-person survival horror is Resident Evil 4. Before Resident Evil 4, there wasn't anything like that.
Right.
This needs to be treated with care, and the fact that they, had the game moving in one direction and had the balls to fucking delay it for 2 more years, it is a good feeling, because I know that they know that this game actually matters and they want to get it right, especially after the backlash they received from Resident Evil 3. They want to get this one right.
Right.
So that makes me feel good, and I'm willing to wait. And if that means I have to play the original again, the regular version of it, fine. That's okay. It just really fucking sucks that this whole time they've been working on it for nothing,
Right.
So
It would have been awesome if they had, because I don't think they anticipated Resident Evil 2 Remake to do as well as it did.
yeah, no.
If they would have had a little more foresight, they could have had these games in development for a while, stacked, lined up, ready to go. 2, 3, 4. I mean, just boom, 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 one after the other.
And the thing with 2 was, I'm pretty sure they had that small little indie developer team that was working on the remake themselves, and they hired them and brought them on to do it. I believe they canceled the fan project and they brought it on for the real thing. There's no doubt in my mind that there's a Resident Evil 4 fan project probably out there it's being remade. Listen, I don't doubt Kamiya's team and Platinum Games, or not Kamiya, Tatsuya Minami.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man.
Yeah,
We'll see what happens.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Josh and Bret really need you too. I love them. So do it. It would be a shame if you missed more of their videos. Hit the notification bell too, so you know when there is a new upload.